following is a presentation of Low Sports.
Costa Mesa will ignite as 8 men enter the proving grounds at the IBJJF Absolute Grand Prix. But only one jiu-jitsu ace can earn the $50,000 prize. Every single quarterfinal matchup features something special, with notable duels between the distinguished Pedro Marinho and 6-time world champion Diego Pato. On the opposite side of the bracket, the quality stays the same, with exceptional matchups featuring experienced professional Victor Hugo taking on a youthful contender eager to stamp his name on the scene in Sweden's Marlon Tajik. However, new school sharks swim in the Grand Prix waters as recently promoted black belt Michael Pixley sits in the shadows waiting to strike and snag the prize for himself and take the torch from the old guard. Nothing but world-class action on tap as each second sharpens the stakes, with all roads leading to the crowning of a new Absolute Grand Prix champion. 11 super fights on tap in addition to our 8-man tournament. Welcome to the IBJJF Absolute Grand Prix. Folks, welcome to Sublime, Southern California for the 2026 IBJJF Absolute Grand Prix. 11 super fights on tap alongside our 8-man tournament. $50,000 up for grabs. Excellence expected from everybody, but only one competitor may walk away with a grand prize. I'm Ben the Main Davis alongside the mats. It's an honor to be here. Joining me is the esteemed Danny O'Donnell. Danny, today is a great day to be a BJJ fan.
Absolutely. We got the Absolute No-Gi Grand Prix. Got some black belt world champions, some brand new black belts, a great mix of both experience levels and weight classes. Then we also have 11 super fights. 10 of those are going to be in the gi. We also have a no-gi super fight. We've got amazing black belts. We also got blue, purple, and brown. So we got a great mix of experience. It's going to be an amazing night.
Let's take a look at that full 8-person tournament, our $50,000 Grand Prix. Quarterfinals are as follows. Victor Hugo taking on Sweden's own Marlon Tajik. Javier Barter welcoming Nick Hartmann to the black belt ranks. Then on the opposite side of the coin, Pedro Marinho taking on the 6-time world champion Diego Pato. And the NCAA champion transition to BJJ phenom Michael Pixley takes on Gustavo Bautista inside the opening round. We mentioned him briefly. Let's get to know him a bit deeper. Here's Victor Hugo.
Victor Hugo, an amazing competitor, absolute world champion in no-gi, 4-time world champion in the gi, trains out of Six Blades in Texas, calls his style big man flow. He's a huge guy, around 260 pounds, moves like a lightweight off his back, has submission victories over some of the best black belts in the sport. Victor, equally talented from top position as he is in bottom position. Really excited to watch him go out there. And he's going to be taking on Marlon Tajik, one of those up-and-comers who has a really dangerous leg lock game and just a really dangerous, well-rounded jiu-jitsu game in general.
And the thing about Victor Hugo's experience, right, decorated pedigree, but all that leads to is a target for Tajik. Let's take a look at some of our super fights as well. 11 of them in total, gi and no-gi split, but some really excellent names that we have on offer here today. Kicking it off is our black belt super fights in the lightweight division. Mateo Cardona and Souza. Then the light featherweights, the Funegra sisters, Ashlee first taking on Yasmyn Castro, Sarah Galvão and Maria Vicentini. Then in the medium heavyweight division, the prodigy Helena Crevar and Aghata Rabelo. And finally rounding out our black belt super fights, it's Ice Cold Abate and Will Wilson. Now, Danny, what sticks out to me is Helena Crevar, the only no-gi black belt super fight that we have listed today.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Ben, Helena and Aghata Rabelo, the only no-gi black belt super fight that's a 10-minute match. Helena coming off her no-gi world title. It was her first time competing at the no-gi worlds as a black belt. Put on a flawless performance, 4 fights, 4 submissions, looked incredible. She's taking on Aghata Rabelo. They fought in the gi as brown belts, had a close back and forth match. This is a no-gi one, really looking forward to that.
Black Belt Super Fights 8-man Grand Prix, but we've got more for you. Our prelim Super Fights also include some seriously special names. Catchweight bout between Mickey Whalen and Isaac Huertas kicks us off then. It's JP Tran and Asaf Alves. Midway through our prelim Super Fights card, it's Johnny Anderson and Julio Cesar. Then the light featherweights take center stage as the second Funegra sister of the evening, Natalie, takes on Phoenix's own Caitlin Schmidt. Kelly San Carlos and Evan Duncan follow them up. And to round things off, Dominic Mano and Luan Veras. Now, what really is special to me is that juvenile blue belt matchup between Johnny Anderson and Julio Cesar, Danny.
Yeah, so we got Johnny Anderson. We'll take a look at some of his highlights from the 2026 European Jiu-Jitsu Championships. Made the transition from juvenile blue belt to adult blue belt. Looked incredible. Had a bracket that had about 120 athletes, so he had to win 7 fights. It was his adult blue belt debut. Looked amazing. That was in the light featherweight division. He's going to be taking on the European featherweight champion, Julio Cesar. Johnny has, as you can see, an amazing, well-rounded game. Julio, I think his game is categorized by his aggression. He's aggressive from the top, aggressive from the bottom. It's cool because they both won Europeans, one weight class apart. I think this is a match a lot of people want to see, and now we get to see it at the Absolute GP in the super fight.
Danny, how significant is that weight differential from both of these competitors in this match and tonight as well?
Yeah, when you have jiu-jitsu at this level, every little advantage can be significant and can be meaningful, including weight and strength. I think technique and strategy are going to be at the forefront of what these guys are thinking about. But of course, every little thing matters at the highest level of jiu-jitsu.
Some say weight is just a number. We'll see if that's significant tonight. Tonight's schedule is as follows. We kick things off with our preliminary Super Fights matches 1 through 6, then the quarterfinals of our Grand Prix. After that, our Black Belt Super Fights get going. Then we head back to the semifinals for our Absolute Grand Prix for matches 13 and 14. Following them, the penultimate group, the Black Belt Super Fights end things, and then the $50,000 Absolute Grand Prix final. Now, for all of our viewers tuning in for free, I implore you, do not miss out on any of the action. Subscribe to Flow today, and don't miss anything tonight and as the year follows. Jiu-Jitsu lives here. Every sweep, every submission, every second on the mats. FloGrappling keeps you plugged in with live tournaments, super fights, and real stories from the athletes on the mats every single day. Watch your favorite athlete chase gold, discover the next wave of stars, and stay locked in with the sport all year long. Stream it all live on FloGrappling. There's the QR code to subscribe, at flowsports.tv/join now. Danny, we don't want them to miss out.
Yeah, there's so much amazing action. Of course, we have this Absolute No-Gi Grand Prix tonight. So much great jiu-jitsu content on FloGrappling. Definitely scan the QR code, check it out.
Well, enough talking. Let's get to the walking and start the 2026 IBJJF Absolute Grand Prix.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2026 IBJJF Grand Prix No-Gi Absolute. Starting with the first super fight of the night, this will be a 5-minute catchweight match in the juvenile blue belt division. Introducing the first athlete, standing at 5'7" and weighing in at 133.6 pounds, fighting out of Newport Beach, California, and representing AOJ, Mick Whelan.
a cabeça e dominou o braço do Isaac, pernas, evitando que virasse de 4 antes dos 3 pontos. E aí quando ele pegou o Isaac 4 apoios, ele costas. E ali o árbitro parou no momento certo. Ainda esticou uma bola e trouxe a meios, Arthur.
Tá aí, volta o combate reiniciado no centro do tatame, vai direto pro estrangulamento, vamos ver se vai conseguir a finalização. O Mick Whelan foi pro estrangulamento pelas costas ali, como quem vai para um arco e flecha, tá com a mão por baixo da gola, resiste com tudo ali, recebe a vantagem, conseguiu sustentar o estrangulamento. Isaac Huertas, muito duro o atleta de branco, mas agora já vem variando pro triângulo invertido, tem o braço isolado, vai tentar soltar a pegada para sair na finalização no armlock. Tem a faca e o queijo na mão, agora o Mick Whelan passou o cotovelo direto para soltar o braço, vai esticar no armlock, tenta se defender ainda o Isaac Huertas, leva o corpo para cima, fim de luta, vitória por finalização do Mick Whelan. Belíssima finalização, variando do estrangulamento de gola direto pro triângulo invertido, já estava com a mão solta ali, foi direto no braço, ainda resistiu o Isaac Huertas, mas não teve jeito.
Mick Whelan, done like lightning.
And your winner is Mick Whelan, representing AOJ.
Mick Whelan gets the submission victory in his super fight here at the 2026 Absolute No-Gi Grand Prix. Beautiful armbar finish from the back, had the back triangle, turned it into an armbar, got the tap.
There he is receiving his plaque. And you talk about a guy who is considered and regarded as one of the most promising young talents. That is the type of sweep that maybe you would want to see from him here tonight. Here's another look at that submission finish. Mick Whelan here in our opening matchup of the evening. Just like butter. Swept through Isaac Huertas, Danny.
Then Mick Whelan here got an advantage, then passed the guard with a knee cut, got his guard pass points, also ended up taking the back. He was up 9-0, locked on this triangle from the back, broke the grip, extended the arm, gets the tap. Amazing clinical performance from Mick Whelan of AOJ.
I'm not even sure if he has his driver's license yet, but here he is, just steamrolling through the jiu-jitsu competition. All right, we're going to take a brief pause in the action here in the hangar, so we'll take a pause here on the broadcast and be back for our Blue Belt Juvenile Featherweight Showdown between JP Tran and Asaf Alves. Folks, welcome back to Orange County for the 2026 IBJJF Absolute Grand Prix here inside the hangar. Let's keep the action rolling and send it back onto the mats.
And now, for the second super fight of the night, this will be a 5-minute featherweight match in the juvenile blue belt division. Introducing the first athlete, standing at 5'5" and weighing in at 139.8 pounds. Fighting out of Newport Beach, California, and representing AOJ, JP Tran.
JP Tran, again, a technically refined, promising prospect here, Danny.
Yeah, JP Tran, just 16 years old, another AOJ athlete, similar to our last victor, Mick Whelan. Can't wait for JP's super fight here against Asaf Alves.
And introducing his opponent, standing at 5'8" and weighing in at 141.4 pounds. Fighting out of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and representing Marcio Andre, Asaf Alves.
Our first Brazilian of many tonight, Asaf Alves here, Danny. An opportunity to really upset the jiu-jitsu expectations from JP Tran. What does Alves need to do?
Alves needs to be aggressive from start to finish, and he needs to try to impose his game.
Five minutes in the Blue Belt Juvenile Ranks gi matchup here between a young prospect in JP Tran and a guy with something to prove here in Asaf Alves.
2 points for Asaf Alves. Time the guard pull, gets the takedown. He's on top in the white gi, trying to pass the guard to JP Tran. JP, 16 years old, competing out of AOJ. Asaf Alves, 17, competing out of Marcio Andre Jiu-Jitsu.
JP Tran's double gold run at the 2025 IBJJF World Championships really put him on many people's radars, Danny. In terms of what you expect from him here in this matchup opposite Alves, is this what you sort of envisioned?
Yeah, I imagine both guys being aggressive to kick this match off. Asaf timed the guard pull, scored 2 points. JP swept right back, evened it up. Now Asaf in almost on an omoplata. JP gets out.
Alves providing answers in the first minute here to JP Tran.
So Asaf gets a sweep. He's leading JP by 2 points. He'll go back to the center of the mat.
I love how they just yank him. You know, there's no...
You can do that with the Blue Belt Juveniles.
JP Tran's X-guard and the straight ankle lock are some characteristics of that game that he possesses. What else is in his back pocket?
Oh, JP Tran is super well-rounded. He's got an amazing guard. He can take your back from there. He can submit you from the guard. We saw a little bit of it getting into some of his passing. Asaf countered really well with a sweep. But JP Tran can do it all.
3:30 on the clock here in our second matchup of the evening. Tran's coach, Guilherme Mendes, very complimentary of the 16-year-old, saying that he's also not just a great competitor, but also an incredible young instructor. As he notches another impressive movement here. Alves impressively rolling and keeping the momentum pretty even through 2 minutes, Danny.
I think an interesting dynamic in this match is that these guys know each other's games really well. They've fought several times before, most recently in the World Championship final in 2025. JP Tran won that match by submission, but their other matches have been really, really close. So the level is very close, and these guys know each other's games so well.
Reset here in the center of the mat with 3 on the clock. And one of the other big pillars of JP Tran's game is, of course, the legendary AOJ team, right? Art of Jiu-Jitsu. Where does that fall in terms of adding to his really decorated skill set?
For JP?
Yeah.
Yeah, JP trains at AOJ. They have such a good program, not just to develop good athletes on the mat in competition, but they develop great instructors who start giving back to the sport at such a young age. So they're taking this very professionally, training many hours a day, and then also developing their teaching skills. I think that helps them achieve a higher technical level as well.
The best students are the best teachers. Or maybe vice versa. I'm not sure what the saying is, Danny. 4-2, Alves leads as we hit the midway point of this matchup.
And I think Asaf Alves is in a similar situation. He's been training as a almost professional competitor since he was very, very young. Has an amazing coach in Marcio Andre. JP sweeps, and Asaf sweeps right back, so he maintains that 2-point lead.
Great flexibility from Asaf Alves there. JP Tran works back to his feet momentarily. Now takes the knee.
JP's on top, left foot flat on the mat, so he's clear of the leg lock danger, so he'll get his 2 sweep points.
6 points even on both sides as we hit the final 2 minutes of this one. Much more measured and patient second matchup here than the first one.
These guys are so evenly matched from a technical perspective and from a physical perspective as well. Asaf has both pant grips. That's usually a really, really good position to sweep from.
Tran trying to build this base here. Asaf Alves doing a really nice job of just putting all the appendages in the right place at the right time.
JP is looking for a leg drag. Comes back up on top and resets.
1 minute 10 on the clock here. Still even at 6 points apiece. Alves really trying to lock down that right arm of JP Tran. Now goes for the collar.
Just 40 seconds left, still all tied up at 6 points apiece.
It feels like neither can really establish momentum. JP Tran hasn't been able to go from step 1 to step 2 to step 3 in much of his attacks.
Asaf Alves has a really high-level guard. You can see he's doing such a good job with his grips and his frames.
Under 30. Still tied. Tran upping the urgency. Alves throwing up the legs.
Asaf Alves was looking for the omoplata. JP Tran was able to square up, get his elbow free. Gonna reset the gi and get back into the action.
Alves might not have gotten the position, but he did get the gi of JP Tran, although that doesn't count for much. Final 14 seconds here, Danny. What should each competitor do in their last gasp to win this one?
I think for Asaf Alves, he's got to try to sweep or score an advantage for a sweep. And for JP Tran, he's got to try to pass the guard or score an advantage on a guard pass to get some sort of a lead. 15 seconds is not a whole lot of time to work. And from what we've seen, it's been so even so far.
Each competitor reworking their gis here, getting the equipment in check. Looks like a second has been added onto the clock, so 15 remain in this one. Is there any area of weakness in that Asaf Alves guard that maybe JP Tran can try and exploit in these last few seconds?
I haven't seen much weakness in his guard. His guard's like really high level, amazing grips, good frames, super flexible, so his guard retention is always on point. Great positioning with his hips.
Excellent job.
Maybe JP can find it, but I haven't been able to see what the weakness is.
From the booth, yeah, we can. Excellent work by our officiating to get the exact same position here in the center. A critical final 15. As you can see, Tran upping the urgency here. 10 seconds to go.
JP Tran trying to pin that bottom leg to the mat.
Asaf Alves trying to lock down and hold on. JP Tran attempting to shuck him off like corn. Tied at 6 even through 5 minutes. JP Tran did what he could in those final 15 seconds, but a very game Asaf Alves, Danny.
Amazing match, super close. The level was very even. 6 points apiece. This one comes down to a ref's decision.
I believe we do have all of the scores tallied. Let's take it to the mats.
Asaf Alves gets the ref's decision victory.
Your winner is Asaf Alves, representing Marcio Andre.
Asaf Alves, victorious opposite JP Tran. In terms of upsets, Danny O'Donnell, would you maybe consider that one?
I think both guys are super high level, super technical. They've had close matches in the past. I don't know if I'd consider an upset. Asaf is an amazing competitor, so is JP. JP had beaten him the last time they fought, so potentially, but I knew it was going to be a close match coming into this one.
Some might have thought that final push from JP Tran in the last 15 seconds could have earned the nod potentially. Do you see the judges' decision-making on Asaf Alves?
Yeah, JP Tran's last little flurry looked like there was a lot of movement, but he didn't really get too close to passing the guard. And Asaf Alves almost had an omoplata at one point. JP defended it really quick. But they were both really aggressive. Both scored via sweeps. Asaf Alves opened up the score, timing the takedown, timing the guard pull with the takedown.
And how crucial those 2 points were for Asaf Alves, as this was dead even throughout the remainder of those 5 minutes.
Absolutely. A lot of times the start of the match is a very, very critical moment in a jiu-jitsu match in terms of who's going to win the match and come away with it, especially if it ends on points. Asaf Alves did a great job opening up the score with that takedown.
Asaf Alves getting one over the 16-year-old prodigy, JP Tran. What a victory for him. We're going to take a brief break in the pause here at the 2026 IBJJF Absolute Grand Prix. We'll be back in just a moment. Folks, welcome back inside the hangar here for the 2026 IBJJF Absolute Grand Prix.
Will be a 6-minute
Third
featherweight
fight
match
on tap.
in the adult male blue belt division. Introducing the first athlete, standing at 5'4" and weighing in at 150.4 pounds, fighting out of West Covina, California, and representing Gracie Baja Upland, Johnny Anderson.
Johnny Anderson representing Gracie Baja Upland, 17-year-old, coming off a European title.
Walking out to many men as well. Those gunshots here inside the hangar, letting Julio Cesar know exactly what Johnny Anderson intends to bring to this showdown.
And introducing his opponent, standing at 5'2" and weighing in at 151.8 pounds. Fighting out of Praia de Pirangi, Brazil, and representing Checkmat, Julio Cesar.
Julio Cesar, the 18-year-old representing Checkmat, also coming off an amazing gold medal at the 2026 European Jiu-Jitsu Championships. 2 European gold medalists about to square off.
And Julio Cesar, multi-time gold medalist too, right? Salvador Spring International Open, Sol Americano Open, a very decorated IBJJF competitor. But this could be his biggest test yet. Five minutes of juvenile blue belt gi action between Johnny Anderson and Julio Cesar.
Double guard pull to kick this one off. This is actually going to be a 6-minute match.
6
this
minutes,
is an adult blue belt match. It's going to be an advantage for Julio Cesar for coming up on top, controlling that cross pant grip. Now his double pant grips. Johnny Anderson countering with a lasso with his left foot. And like we talked about in the show open, Julio has such an aggressive game, both from top and bottom. You can see him already trying to get into some of his guard passes against Johnny Anderson.
And for Johnny, right, you're coming up against an aggressive opponent. What are maybe some of the characteristics to shut down Julio Cesar?
I think focusing on his control from bottom, you can see right now he has amazing grips. Anytime he lets go of one grip, he immediately knows where he's going to go. He doesn't leave a lot of gaps when he's playing guard. And right now he's trying to set up a K guard, underhooking the leg, getting his left knee underneath the hips of Julio Cesar. A lot of times this will lead to an X guard or some sort of leg lock entry. Johnny also really good at taking the back from here.
Right leg extended for Julio Cesar. Gains control of it.
Johnny Anderson puts the leg into 50-50 position. Julio looking for a straight ankle lock, lets it go.
And for Johnny, it really slows down that early momentum that Julio was opening this match with.
Julio's still the top player right now. He is sitting down on his hips, but he has his advantage from coming up from a double guard pull, so he's still considered the top athlete.
4 minutes, 5 seconds on the clock here in this blue belt featherweight super fight. Action resumes. Anderson really extending with both those legs. Looks like a penalty issued on both sides. Julio Cesar still leading with that lone advantage. You know, Danny, Anderson complimented for doing things that black belts normally can't do, but feels like he has yet to solve the puzzle of Julio.
Right now, it looks like they're looking for grips and trying to get the position that they want before really going for either a sweep or a guard pass. It's going to be their second penalty each for inactivity. And with the second penalty, they'll each get an advantage.
Julio Cesar now 2 advantages to Johnny Anderson's 1. Urgency kicks up.
Johnny Anderson gets the sweep, comes up on top, 2 points.
Much more active sequence there, but Anderson, with those 2 points, pushing himself into the lead.
One of the reasons this match was so intriguing is because they're both 2026 European champions in the adult blue belt division. Johnny Anderson won at light featherweight. He had about 120 athletes in his bracket, which is absolutely wild. And Julio had almost the same amount, or could have even had a couple more. It's a very similar sized bracket, and he won featherweight. So 1 weight class apart. They're both gold medalists in Lisbon. And Johnny said coming into this match that this was a match that he wanted. He saw Julio compete in Lisbon. Was very complimentary of his game, and you can see how evenly matched these guys are.
And we talk about their successes in different weight classes, but they both weighed in yesterday at around the same figure, with Johnny Anderson coming in at 150.4 and Julio Cesar at 151.8. So not the same Euros weight that they were showcasing some time ago. 2:20 now on the clock. Julio Cesar trying to hook that right leg for just a moment.
Johnny Anderson leading by 2 points. He has 1 advantage. Julio doesn't have any points, but he does have 2 advantages. So if he's able to sweep and get on top, he's going to have the lead.
It feels like Anderson's deeply aware of that, really keeping his legs as far as he can from any of those hooking opportunities from Julio. And if you're Johnny right now, sub 2 minutes to go, you are leading. Do you maybe consider trying to stall out Julio?
I don't think Johnny Anderson's the type of competitor that tries to stall anyone out. I see him moving forward all the time, trying to pass the guard. Of course, he's going to run into positions like this where Julio has a good lasso and he has great control, and he can't just throw his legs by and pass his guard really easily and quickly. But Johnny Anderson isn't the type of guy who's going to stall.
Julio, full guard here. For Cesar, you think in these final 75 seconds could be time to try and explode up?
Yeah, he's going to look for a sweep, because if he does get the sweep, like we mentioned, he's going to be up by the 1 advantage.
Final minute in our 3rd matchup of the evening. Julio Cesar trying his best to get to a sweeping opportunity. Anderson, though, defending nicely. Just a stifling effort here from Johnny Anderson.
Johnny has a really good base on top. He's doing a good job with that, keeping his balance and not giving Julio as many opportunities for sweeps.
Final 20 seconds.
Great position for Johnny Anderson. That's an advantage.
Sometimes you fly too close to the sun. For Julio Cesar, exploding up only led to giving Johnny Anderson more control and positional dominance here.
He had
as we
to take
come
a
to the
risk
final.
because he was down on points, but Johnny definitely capitalized, nearly ends on the back. Beautiful victory for Johnny Anderson from Gracie Baja Upland.
Both European champions, but only one getting the hand raised here tonight, Johnny Anderson. With just great control defensively, too. I think what impressed me, Danny, was the ability to avoid being swept while, to your point, staying aggressive and pushing forward.
And your winner is Johnny Anderson, representing Gracie Baja Upland.
Johnny Anderson gets the win via points, sweeps Julio Cesar. He's your absolute No-Gi GP Super Fight champion in this blue belt adult match.
Impressive victory from Johnny Anderson here opposite Julio Cesar. We'll take a brief pause in the action here from the hangar. Take a brief pause in the broadcast and be back in just a moment.
The sweep earned 2 points, stayed on top for the remainder of the match. Julio did a great job.
All right, we're going to take a brief pause in the action here. We'll be back for a purple belt light featherweight showdown between Ashlee Funegra and Caitlin Schmidt in just a moment here on FloGrappling. Folks, welcome back inside the hangar here at the 2026 IBJJF Absolute Grand Prix. 3 bouts down, 4th one sure to excite between Ashlee Funegra and Caitlin Schmidt.
The 4th super fight of the night will be a 7-minute light featherweight match in the adult purple belt division. Introducing the first athlete, standing at 5 foot 1 inches and weighing in at 116.2 pounds. Fighting out of Lakewood, California, and representing AOJ, Ashlee Funegra.
Ashlee Funegra of AOJ, 17 years old, made her adult debut at the 2026 Europeans and won the light feather division.
Double gold in both the Euros and Pans. Not a twin, but one of the Funegra sisters. Talent inside the veins of the 17-year-old.
And introducing the opponent, standing at 5 foot 2 inches and weighing in at 116.8 pounds. Fighting out of Tempe, Arizona, and representing Marcio Andre, Caitlin Schmidt.
Caitlin Schmidt, 19 years old, out of Marcio Andre Jiu-Jitsu. She's a 2025 blue belt roosterweight world champion, taking on Ashlee Funegra.
Schmidt been training for so many years. Massive opportunity for the Tempe superstar. Seven minutes of action here in the purple belt light featherweight gi ranks. Caitlin Schmidt in the blue, Ashlee Funegra in the white.
Right into a triangle for Ashlee Funegra.
Schmidt elevates her, but this is a lethal spot to be in within the first 10 seconds, Danny.
Natalie looked like she was going to go for an ankle lock, shot her legs up into the triangle. She's breaking the posture, adjusting her position. She's getting a better lock with her legs.
Funegra trying to tighten as much as possible. What does Caitlin Schmidt need to do to avoid danger here?
Try to get some posture. You can see Natalie trying to break her posture and pull her head down, and that's going to make it easier to lock her legs up in a tighter position.
Funegra now pressing on the head, trying to bring it down for just a moment. Now attacking that right arm, trying to push it inwards. Nothing but pressure here on Caitlin Schmidt.
You can hear Caitlin's coach, Marcio Andre, telling her to open up her right elbow and get it to the outside of Natalie's hip. That'll help loosen the grip quite a bit.
Schmidt elevates the hips now. Steps forward with the right foot. Funegra just putting her in the washing machine early here, Danny.
It looks like it's getting a bit tighter. Caitlin doing a good job staying on her feet, trying to incrementally adjust the positioning of her right arm, but Natalie pretty insistent pushing it across the hip line.
Referee getting closer. 40 seconds in. Or excuse me, minute 40 seconds in. And Natalie Funegra has held on to this triangle position.
Caitlin's doing something pretty interesting. She's controlling the right sleeve grip of Natalie. Still hasn't let it go. Sometimes Natalie will look to underhook the leg with her right arm, but she can't do that right now because Caitlin's controlling her sleeve.
A spot where Caitlin Schmidt doesn't have many tools, right? Utilizing what little she does have. Funegra trying to break that grip.
It's another great way to get out of the triangle is to throw your legs over the top of your opponent's hips and then try to extend your hips and create some space. This looks like it's getting tighter.
Funegra was able to buckle that left leg of Schmidt. Schmidt trying to think here, but to your point, Danny, it is getting tight inside the hanger. Four minutes, 10 seconds on the clock, which will feel like an eternity for Caitlin Schmidt if she's not able to break this grip.
Natalie seems to be pretty confident in the position. She's stuck with it. Right now she's grabbing her shin. And it looks like Caitlin Schmidt may have her left arm inside of the triangle, just her hand, not her entire arm, which can help her create some extra space too.
Funegra now doubling up on the head. Schmidt transitioning which leg she's trying to post and elevate on. Margin of error here for Caitlin Schmidt, incredibly thin, Danny.
She's doing a phenomenal job of just creating a little bits of space, not letting it get too deep or too tight. And you hear her coach Marcio Andre consistently going back to opening her right arm.
Two minutes 50 remain in our fourth bout of the evening. Schmidt has been locked in this triangle from the first second, but has yet to wilt or seemingly give any of her fighting spirit up. Funegra searching underneath for that left leg of Schmidt.
Caitlin doing a good job trying to hide that leg, keeps extending it back as Natalie reaches for the grip.
Funegra now on the pants. Funegra does have the sleeve at around the knee area of Caitlin Schmidt. Schmidt really trying to break it. Under 2 minutes to go here. Schmidt hanging on despite being locked in this submission for the entirety of this purple belt light featherweight super fight.
1 minute, 40 seconds left. No points or advantages on the board. But if Caitlin were to get out, Natalie would earn an advantage for this submission attempt.
From this position here, what would be the best avenue for Caitlin Schmidt to escape this submission attempt?
I saw her sit down and try to throw her left leg over the hips of Natalie Funegra. I think that could potentially be a good option. She's doing what her coach is telling her to do. She's opening her right elbow, trying to build her posture, keeping her left hand inside and using that to make a little bit of space. So I think she's doing a great job.
Under a minute between Schmidt and Funegra. Natalie Funegra likely assumed at some point in the 7 minutes of control in this submission attempt that Caitlin Schmidt would make an error, give her some room to capitalize further, but Schmidt's been pretty clean outside of getting herself into this. Schmidt's team urging her to keep the head up, desperately trying to breathe energy into their fighter here. 20 seconds to go. Schmidt with some micro movements, Danny.
Natalie's still confident in the triangle, holding on to it, controlling her shin, now reaching up for the belt. Natalie Funegra is going to get the advantage. And she's going to win this match by that single advantage for the triangle that she locked on early in the match.
Credit to Caitlin Schmidt for really surviving all 7 of those minutes, locked in that deep submission attempt, finding ways to not get finished, but it all belongs.
And your winner is Natalie Funegra, representing AOJ.
The Funegra family picking up another victory in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Danny, couldn't get the finish, but a very impressive performance nonetheless.
Yeah, jumped on a submission right from the start, had it locked up, held on to it. Caitlin did an amazing job of defending and not tapping, but it was Natalie Funegra who earned the advantage for the submission attempt, took home the victory.
What was the maybe spot that you could see Funegra being able to finish that submission? Were there any avenues that presented themselves that she didn't take?
She looked like she was trying to do everything she could. She broke the posture, controlled the grip, kept adjusting her leg positioning to keep getting it incrementally tighter. You could hear her coach, Guy Mendez, telling her to use her right hand to reach under the leg, but Caitlin was just doing a good job hiding the leg. I think if she would have gotten a grip underneath the hamstring, she could have potentially finished. But Caitlin did a great job staying out of too much danger.
First of 2 Funegra sisters competing tonight. We'll see if the family is able to stay unbeaten here inside the hangar. We'll take a brief pause in the action at the 2026 IBJJF Absolute Grand Prix and be back in just a moment. Folks, welcome back to Southern California for the 2026 IBJJF Absolute Grand Prix. Danny O'Donnell here alongside Ben Davis.
And the 5th super fight of the night will be a 7-minute lightweight match in the adult purple belt division. Introducing the first athlete, standing at 5'8" and weighing in at 166.8 pounds. Fighting out of Praia de Pirangi, Brazil, and representing Checkmat, Kellyson Carlos.
Kelly Carlos, the 19-year-old representing Checkmat, one of the best young competitors out of that academy. 2026 purple belt middleweight European champion, about to take on Evan Duncan.
And introducing his opponent, standing at 6 foot 2 inches and weighing in at 166.4 pounds. Fighting out of Leeds, England, and representing Gracie Baja Upland, Evan Duncan.
Evan Duncan representing Gracie Baja Upland. He's also 19 years old, just like his opponent, Kelly Carlos. Born in Leeds, England, but now training here in Southern California.
Long way from the homegrown lead star. But when you think about a guy that's really acclimated to the jiu-jitsu world, Evan Duncan does come to mind here in the blue belt ranks. Or excuse me, the purple belt ranks.
This is an adult purple weight match at lightweight. It's going to be 7 minutes.
Kelly Carlos in the blue, Evan Duncan in the white.
It's double guard pull. You see the ref look at his watch to signal they have 20 seconds to either come up or they're going to earn a penalty. Kelly comes up. He'll get that advantage. He's right in on that cross grip.
Locking down that left leg of Duncan as well.
It's a really common way to pass the guard right now, to get that cross grip, try to staple it to the mat. Evan does a good job getting out of it. There's not a whole lot you can do from there from bottom position. But Evan in a much better position now. Foot on the bicep, controlling the same side collar grip. And Evan was listed at 6'2". He's a pretty long competitor. You know, he really favors triangles and arm bars from his back. You can tell that he uses his body type to his advantage.
You know, some people say length could be considered a double-edged sword in jiu-jitsu, right? Longer reach and height, but also more room maybe to get locked into something. 5:40 on the clock here. Kellyson, the slight lead with that advantage. Duncan really intent on controlling this collar here, Danny.
Evan has that cross collar grip. Now reaching underneath the leg. Trying to entangle the legs of Kelly Carlos. Locks up the foot lock. You can hear his corner calling for it.
Duncan dedicating on that right side. Where should Kelly Carlos' focus be here?
Kelly's doing a great job of maintaining a really good base, keeping his balance, and he's controlling that right sleeve grip, which is going to make it hard for Evan to get up if he is able to put Kellyson on his hips.
Carlos addressing that right leg for a moment now, doubling up on the right arm. Duncan putting a lot of effort into this right leg of Kelly Carlos. Does get a penalty. 4 minutes and 10 seconds left in this one.
Evan, as we mentioned, was training at Gracie Baja Upland for this match, along with one of the other super fight competitors, Johnny Anderson. Had some cool training footage that they posted leading up to it.
Kelly said putting a little bit of pressure here now. .330 remains. At what point, Danny, do you think Duncan might move off this right ankle?
I think he feels pretty confident with it. It looks like he's trying to adjust his angle quite a bit and get his hips a little bit deeper underneath Kellison. And it looks like Kellison's trying to get his right knee to the mat, which is going to make that ankle lock grip less effective.
Kellison Carlos now nearly sitting down on top of Evan Duncan here. 2 minutes and 50 seconds to go. Lone advantage for Carlos, giving him this slight lead.
From this position, it is a bit harder to finish the ankle lock when Kellison opens his knee like that and puts it on the mat. Now he gets his right ankle free.
Big move from Kellison Carlos to just erase nearly 4 minutes of work of Evan Duncan.
Evan using a little bit of a different strategy now, wrapping up his left foot in the lapel. Now abandons that as Kellison walks towards the head and tries to pin the bottom leg.
Duncan, like glue on that gi, again reaching deep for that right leg of Kellison. Carlos able to evade. Minute 47 on the clock here. Feels like Duncan is really committing to the same strategy over and over again, Danny.
He's very confident in his guard. Now he's inverting, trying to throw his right leg behind the leg of Kellison.
Kellison easily able to evade that sequence. Lapel does get wrapped up around Duncan's leg.
Kellison came up from a double guard pull early in the match that gave him the advantage lead, and since then there hasn't been any score. There's been the penalty for Evan Duncan for passivity.
Minute left in this one. Evan Duncan trailing by an advantage. At this point, should the game plan and focus change?
I think Evan's been trying to sweep or attack an ankle lock the whole match, which is a great strategy. Kelly's just done a great job shutting it down.
40 seconds to go. Duncan again trying to spin for the lower limb. Brief pauses will reset. And to your point, despite the real increased effort from Duncan on getting this leg lock, Kellison Carlos' defense has been really magnificent through the full 7 minutes.
Kellison's really good from top position, passing the guard, of course, but also just his base and his defense. It's not an easy guy to sweep.
Duncan going for the collar. Final 30 seconds. Kellison transitions around.
Good position for Kellison. Evan tried to sit up on the leg. Now gets into a good X-guard position.
Duncan, 10 seconds to work.
Kellison doing a good job controlling that right sleeve grip.
5. Kellison Carlos displaying some impressive balance as he will win by that lone advantage he gained early in the match.
Another great technical back and forth match. Kellison Carlos gets the win over Evan Duncan by just one advantage.
And your winner is Kellison Carlos, representing Checkmat.
19-year-old Kellison Carlos of Checkmat gets the win over Evan Duncan. Really nice top game and base from Kellison. Holds on to the advantage lead. He's your purple belt super fight winner here at the Absolute No-Gi Grand Prix.
And for Danny, what we've seen tonight is athletes who are really dedicated to their plan A, but when that doesn't really work out, they have one burst of urgency near the end, but in those dying moments, they simply can't either even out the scoreboard or take the lead. For Evan Duncan, felt like that was kind of just what plagued him tonight. Here's a replay of the action. Kellison Carlos, Evan Duncan, both purple belts, very evenly matched. Duncan just so committed to this leg locking and the ankle locking, Danny.
Evan did a great job getting to the ankle lock grip, stuck with it for most of the match. But like we talked about, Kellyson just had too good of a base, too good of defense on top, evaded all the danger, had a good look at a guard pass there at the end of the match, gets his hand raised, wins the match by 1 advantage. Beautiful stuff from Kellyson Carlos.
Brief pause in the action here, the 2026 IBJJF Absolute Grand Prix, so we'll take a break on the broadcast as well and be back in just a moment here in Southern California.